Professor Black Ops, how's everybody doing today? Just saw this article, so I thought I was gonna just talk a little bit about it. Get my chat up. How's everybody doing tonight? Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. Been working a little today, trying to get it going. You said security researchers stopped at the U.S. border for investigation. Just going to talk about that and talk about pen testing, offensive testing. What's up, 8317? Dr. Stiggs, I appreciate that. Stiggs is at DOD life. A lot of people hate Stiggs. So just something I've been doing. I got a couple videos on Stiggs. So I'm a huge Stig guy. I think it's the best hardening out there. But once again, it's hard. It's super hard to do those Stigs though. But I always tell people if you can do the hardest, then you can do the easier stuff. CIS, which a lot of people businesses use. I tell a lot of people I used to work for the IRS. They use schism hardening. So it's about 4 or 5 hardening things out there. Shout out to casual economists. Let's get it. So, you know how we do it. Any tech questions or cybersecurity questions? Put them in the box, and we can definitely chop it up about it. We can do it. So once again, I thought this was a interesting article, and of course, I got some other articles. So we're going to talk about really the security researchers, pen testing, offensive testing. What is the legal responsibility both ways? You doing the testing and the client giving you release of what happened, and what if you caused that company to get breached while you were doing their testing? So we're gonna just talk about that. I got a couple articles where some companies wasn't happy, so they were trying to sue them. Some people got locked up. A lot of frameworks you talk about are in all these cloud certifications. All your facts, man. So shout out. I probably got 20 AWS videos. So yeah. When you go from on-prem to in the cloud, if you're doing HIPAA work, federal work, DoD work, you still got to validate the cloud for the security, because everybody know I'm an AWS fan guy. So they talk about shared responsibility. The data center's correct, then they give you each individual component you have to put together to make sure it meets that certification. Right, for sticks. So if you're using an S3 bucket, you got to use FIPS encryption on the S3 bucket. If you're using a certain database, there's this DynamoDB. You can set encryption in transit and encryption at rest, but it has to be using FIPS 140-2-3 encryption, right? A1317. So whatever you're doing on prem, you have to do in the cloud from a GRC compliance set up or standard. That's one thing I do a lot of times is cloud engineering build stuff. And if we're going for HIPAA or IRS Pub 1075 or NIST, I have to validate what they set up can pass that particular test. It could be a Nexus scan. A lot of times too, government comes on site to actually check your setup to make sure, once again, it meets that federal compliance. What's up, Sir Octavius of Williamsburg? Let's get in this article and talk about one of the top security researchers / pen test and how he got in trouble, right? So let's just delve into that. What's up, Calvin? My coach lost, but we was in the mix. We got the young quarterback, so we trying to make some strides. Shout out to Deion Sanders, Colorado. They try to make a comeback. They were in the mix. So security researchers stopped at the U.S. border for investigating a crypto scam. Security researcher Sam Curry described a stressful situation he encountered upon his return to the U.S. when border officials and federal agents seized and searched his electronic devices. Curry was further served with a grand jury subpoena that demanded him to appear in a court for testimony. So, right, so you're a top researcher, you think you're helping companies, and now suddenly, boom, you got a grand jury subpoena to show up. Why, you ask? All because his IP address landed in the logs of a crypto wallet associated with a phishing scam that Curry had earlier helped investigate as part of his job, a scam that the feds are now investigating. So he was doing some work just because his IP address showed up in there, right? I guess they think he's linked to part of the scam. So a lot of times when you talk about red team and what you're doing and you're in there, right? You got to make sure you're covered, your company's covered. And two is, I would tell you to have private insurance. Shout out to my man, keep it techie in the house. So what does that mean? I do cybersecurity. I have an umbrella policy. I talked to actually FBI at a conference, and I said, if I secure something or says something is secure, if they get hacked, can I be secure? Can I be sued? Right? PBO ain't got much time left. He's 55. So can I be sued? Would I be in jeopardy? He goes, legally, no. Because really the CEOs, you working in behest of the CEO, the CIO, the Chief Information Security Officer. Hell, I ain't even a lead on a project. I'm number 5. So he said the odds of me getting sued in case something went left is probably 5%. Right? So, but PBO is a warrior, so he increased his umbrella insurance to $5 million. So if I get professionally sued, we call it legal liability up to $5 million, right? The odds of that happening, super small, right? But I like to be covered. And two is, if I'm driving, I hit a Bugatti, I'm covered, right? So, and two is, $5 million, it sounds like a big number. It is a big number, but from a security risk standpoint and with my insurance, it really wasn't that much money a year to get that additional umbrella policy, right? Let's see what my man Calvin talking about the Raiders. Raiders still blow. Facts. I feel you, man. I make a comeback. Would you suggest, okay, Tech Impact? Would you suggest that a new security analyst learns AWS Azure? Either one of those you good with, man. I would figure out what's your current job or what's hot in your area. Each one of those are hot in different areas. I'm in the Midwest, so AWS is hot in commercial, but me and Keep It Techie talking about it. Most federal clients, because they have that whole office suite, they go on to O365 in the cloud. You get, once again, Office 365, you get Teams, you get email, then you get all the security features in O365, and it's pretty like Tech and Peck. To be honest, I'm trying to go multi-cloud. I think that's the big one, but I would just check in your area. Either one of those, I don't think you can go wrong with. AWS is the lead. I think Azure is going to catch them. I think AWS was, last time I looked, was 33%, and I thought Azure was like 24% or something. But it's been a while since I looked at them, Tech and Peck. But either one of those, I think you're going to be fine with. Let's see. Shout out to my man. Shout out to Ty. I thought he would show up for the red team. Make sure he don't get in trouble with the pen testing. So going through these real things. Yep. Shout out to Cal, and I agree with that 100%. Both those are the two gorillas, and two is, I think you're going to be in a multi-cloud in the future. He's been learning hacking. It's a solo one. Facts, man, facts. The Bugatti's a bit more than 5 million. Correct. But I feel like I'm better than most, Calvin. Most people ain't got to be close to that. I never really thought about that. My insurance agent, she's like, yeah, I think totally you got max coverage of 400. So if you hit something that costs $1 million, we're gonna pay 400,000. You out on your own. I was like, oh, so everybody check their insurance policy. No problem. So let's keep going with my man that showed up at the airport and got in trouble. Why, you ask? Because his IP address, because he was working on a client, landed in the logs of a crypto wallet associated with a phishing scam that Curry had helped investigate as part of his job, a scam the feds were now investigating. So when you work for a large company, you need to check to figure out what you're covered. So if you were PricewaterhouseCoopers or the Big Four, I guess I need to Google that. I didn't even check. What are you covered with? I work for a big state agency, and I actually talk to the CIO. So if they get sued as part of the state, you get access to the state of general attorneys and their lawyers. Right? Sometimes if you found negligent, you can end up yourself in a lawsuit. So state employees at that C-suite level, they get access to your state of general attorney in there. And she whispered to me, she goes, I got my own attorney. I don't pin on him. I might interview her. She was the CIO that I work for, and I think she's out in Aurora, which is a subdivision in Colorado. She tried to get me to come out there. I told her black people don't ski, so I don't know. I might try to get out to Colorado. I can go out to Colorado and see Dion. Let's see what my man Justin Wilson. Is it pen testing or is it the state pen? Pen testing can get you in the state pen. So I think it's super rare. And one of my big issues, and we'll delve more into this, is ethical hacking's cool. If I have ports open, you can scan inside my network, right? That's my setup. That's my issue. I don't like it, but I understand it. But once you leave the outside and you step foot inside my network, I consider you a hacker. I didn't invite you in. I didn't ask for your help. So now we got a problem. So we'll talk about that. I'm a little manic about that. I think that's what I get paid for. So if you scanning outside and you find something and you send me a Nexus scan or Net Rapid 7 scan or there's 1,000 open source. If you send that to me but if you step foot on my network and you log in one of my stuff, we got a problem, right? I consider you a hacker. Right now, I got to figure out how to handle you, and I might try to sue you. What's up, Blackjack Yak 54? And we'll get a little bit. We'll get salute. We'll get a little more into that. That's my maniacal effect. That's one of my issues with ethical hacking, and we can delve into that a little more. What that is and what that feels like. So that's kind of my issue with it. So let's keep reading, see what happened to my man Sam Curry, one of the top dogs out there. And unusual suspects this week. Ethical hacker and security researcher Sam Curry shared how he ended up being investigated by the feds, ironically, simply for doing his investigative job. Curry described that he returned to the United States from Japan when he was directed towards a secondary inspection area by officials from the IRS Criminal Investigation. That's a weird team, right? And the United States Department of Homeland Security. That's who I would expect to see. The IRS in there is a little different. Well, I take that back. I guess if you're doing crypto, they might think you're trying to hide money or hide a profit. So that's probably why those two teams came together. They also oversee Customs and Borders Protection. I guess that's his tweet. Upon returning to the United States from a trip to Japan, I was directed to the secondary investigation, and I was presented with a grand jury subpoena by officers from the IRS and DHS, Department of Homeland Security. The subpoena required me to appear in New York to provide testimony for a wire fraud. Okay, so is that him or somebody he was investigating? Curry further told Bleeping Computer that he arrived at Dulles International Airport, Virginia, which is close proximity to Washington, D.C. He was, however, served with a subpoena by the Southern District of New York, demanding his appearance at the court for testimony. That's a weird way to catch you with a subpoena coming through an airport. Obviously, they planned that. They probably supplied a warrant to all the airlines to figure out his travel so they can hem him up, as we would say, right? So let's see what my man said here. CA Counsel is having a sale on courses for people interested in ethical hacking. Let's see. If you can put it, tech chat. I don't know if I made you a moderator. If you can, drop that link inside somebody drop that link inside the chat. I'm cool with that. So let's keep going. Let's see what my man paperwork said. So it says, Sam Curry, we command you that you. I've never had a subpoena, so I didn't know what it looked like. We command you that all in singular business and excuses be laid aside. You appear and attend before a grand jury of the people of the United States for the Southern District of the Borough of Manhattan, City of New York, in the Southern District of New York at the following date. To testify and give evidence regarding to an allegation. They gave you the codes. And not to depart the grand jury with leave thereof or the United States attorney, and that you bring you and produce at the above time and the following place yourself for testimony. Failure to attend and produce the items hereby demand you would constitute a contempt of court and will subject you to civil sanctions, criminal penalties, and additional penalties of the law. Right, so hit you with the subpoena. I've never had a subpoena, so that was my first one. Shout out to Struggle Security. It's kind of more in his area. So once again, my man was showing up from New York. He did some work. That's a good survey. I actually looked at those. I'm just not a hacking guy. So let's keep rolling. After they questioned me, I was asked to leave the room while they sat and searched through my unlocked devices for another hour. The researchers shared on X/Twitter in a thread that has now been deleted. At this point, I've been given almost no information on whether or not I was a subject, witness, or anything related to the case. So that's the scary part. I think if they'll give you that information, you the subject, right? You're not the witness or something related to it. Right, so that's very practical facts. How did they know when he was arriving? They Jam, I'm just guessing, they gave a search warrant to the airport. Because a lot of times when they do a search warrant, they probably hit his social media. He seemed to be posting too much. I know that when you arrive, isn't that invading the privacy? Nah, when you got a search warrant, Jam, you can do what you want. Struggle, let me know if you want to come up. Keep it techie. Let me know if you want to come up. I'll drop the link. Yeah, whoever want to come up, just come up. Now, JM, when they coming to get you, that's not your privacy is not private anymore, JM. When they coming for you, bad boys, I need to get the soundboard like Struggle, man. I need to upgrade. Get the soundboard. We need the bad boys. What you gonna do? So, exam, you on real world scenarios. Struggle, comment on that. It's probably one of the most practical. Do you have that one, Struggle Security? I know you got a lot of search. There's a link if anybody want to come up. Let's keep reading, see what happened to my man. He a little nervous, but now, Jam, he probably posted it because he one of those big time security researchers, red team guys. So a lot of those posts what conference they're gonna be in. So they probably posted. So they probably checked his social media like he's posting on X, aka Twitter, and they just tracked him down. And once they figure that out, they just hit them with the subpoena. At this point, I'm giving almost no information on whether or not I was a subject, witness, or anything related. Oh shit! Let me get my headset on. I'm just talking. In case anybody want to come up, give me a second. But nah, so yeah, so once again, I think he probably posts to his social. And one thing with technology, and they can hit those search warrants, and everybody already know. They already got, especially when you're talking about Department of Homeland Security, they already got that communication link to Facebook, Meta, Twitter, TikTok. So when the Department of Homeland System, they already got that. They already got that ready to go, man. So that they could track you down, man. They probably was pinging. They probably got his phone number, was pinging his phone, his location. So. What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you crystal clear.
Yeah, man. I can hear you too.
You want to chime in? Get started. Guy was kind of your line of work, man. He was doing some work stuff, ended up in some IPs. Then Department of Homeland was like, "We need to see you."
Yeah, it looked like he was kind of So I think he has his own like consulting
Yeah,
company. So he does like pen testing and things. Like I don't know, man. I wouldn't do it if I'm just going solo because like hey, in this situation there's a lot of liability there that you take
facts,
on yourself. But if you're with a
facts.
larger like I just recently got done with a red team and legal is involved in the entirety of the thing, even as it concerns like the rules of engagement, what we're going to touch, what we can't touch.
Right,
If we get to
right.
this thing, this is what we're going to talk about to the point of contact. Like it's so many legal implications to pen testing that it's like, yeah, it's not. It looked like he was doing this with his own company. He had his own company. So
You think the risk is a little too big to go solo, in your opinion?
I would say so. I know I wouldn't do it, but I'm looking at his Twitter. He just he went solo for sure because he's a hacker, bug bounty hunter,
Yeah.
blogger. I'm not saying it's bad for people to do it, but there's a lot of overhead legal things that you take on when you're going at it solo.
Them bug bounties be looking good though, man. The big dog bug bounties, man. You said he worked like
Man.
4 or 5 months, make $1 million every year. I'm like, man, I don't think I'm that good, but go ahead, chime in on that.
They're competitive, man, and they have a lot of
Uh,
automation behind it. They had a little
Facts.
internal groups that help them, and yeah, it's like I mean, I don't promote this, but it's like OnlyFans. Like the top folk are making all the money,
Oh,
and the people
facts.
that is in at the bottom, they're not making everything. So
No, facts. No,
I
that's
think it's
true.
kind of like that. Yeah,
You think getting this, but getting a CV on your resume is pretty big though, right? Even if it's kind of medium, right? That probably will kind of
a
help you.
CV. What you
Yeah.
mean? What's
Found
a
an
CV?
critical vulnerability exposure. You get it posted with your name on it that says you find it. That's we call
Oh yeah,
it. But y'all probably call it something on the blue collar, the CVE, but
CVE. Okay, I thought you said CV.
nah,
I didn't hear you say
CVE.
CVE. I didn't
Nah,
hear the
you know.
E. But
Uh,
yeah. But I don't know. Bug bounties, like they're not always just finding CVE. Sometimes they
but
just exploit remote code execution or something,
you
or they
know,
might exploit cross-site scripting on a website.
no,
So it's
true.
not like they're not always finding new vulnerabilities. Sometimes, most of the time, they're just finding bugs. That's a part of web application. Like most bug bounty people are web application pen testers.
Facts,
That's what
facts.
most of them are. So
Yeah, and that's why I
yep.
tell a lot of people. So when I came from programming, a lot of people don't realize your biggest attack surface is usually web server because your developers be
Yep.
sucking. But
Yep.
so that's why I tell a lot
Anything
of people.
publicly facing. Yep.
Yeah, so I tell a lot of people. For me, a lot of people. I tell people programming because Purple Team, that website. Then you talking about validation of input, cross-site scripting, API attacks are hot now. So I created APIs in my life, so I understand what that attack surface look like from a program standpoint. So
I
let me read it a little bit more. The researcher IP address landed in the logs. So reason involved Curry's role as investigator of the crypto scam, he explained. December 2022, the researcher helped probe into a crypto phishing website that has stolen millions of dollars. The JavaScript of the website, the scammer accidentally published their Ethereum private key. Sadly, I found it in 5 minutes too late, and the stolen asset was gone. So that shows you the key. So and shit that people leaving keys in GitHub, but they're their key is. So
Dang.
during the process, I imported the private key into my MetaMask, and I navigated to OpenSea to check if there was anything left in the wallet. When I did this, I was on my home IP address and obviously not attempting to conceal my identity, as I simply was investigating this, Curry wrote.
So I don't even know if this was pen testing. It sounds like he was doing some security research work, and that's what he says on his Twitter is that he's a
Yeah,
security researcher.
no, facts.
So
No, I think you're right. I lump those together because right. But you're right. There's a line there. That is a difference, right? But I
mhm.
think all of them can lead you into getting in trouble. But go ahead and chat
Yeah,
me. So
no, that's true. No, I don't have more, but yeah, I think that's definitely true.
let me read the chat a little bit. Oh, Rhea, this for your tour alone won't save you, man.
Yeah, man.
It'll help, but when you talk about the DHS, you're gonna need a little more than tour with Department of Homeland. You call it
Yeah,
only bugs. Shout out. You might need to patent that struggle to only bugs.
only bugs. Nah. Nah.
Let's see what James said. Was the key left in the comments in the source code? They showed it. Let me go back up in the
It
article.
like it was in the code somewhere. I don't even know if it
Yeah,
was
it
a
looked like
comment.
it. Yeah, it was like in the code. They was in GitHub. GitHub actually wrote some AI to go out there and help people by rid of their keys and their tokens because
That's
so many
crazy.
people were leaving them in there. They wrote something to help them out. Let me keep going. Thankful Curry's attorney, after emailing the federal agents back and forth, was able to clarify the situation and have the subpoena completely dismissed. But that's cool because obviously, if they dismissed the subpoena made him the target. After confirming that all this data from the research devices have been deleted, could all the trouble, extra time, resources relentlessly spent by the prosecution in this case have been avoided by a simple telephone call? Possibly.
Yeah.
Curry described the investigation agent had a manila folder with this photo, Twitter, social media, all the details in it. And I would assume they would have looked into it a little bit, even just a brief read, just who I am and what I do. I feel it would have had cleared things up. And I think too, and I see that a lot, you get a lot of junior agents and I get a lot of junior auditors. I'm like, dude, these dudes are struggling. So they start writing up wrong vulnerabilities, wrong information. I'm like, dude. so I think that happens, especially even though we've been in this industry a lot and we talk about it a lot. I think there's a lot of new people getting in it. So everybody's trying to get their skills set up. And I'm going to throw struggle security underneath the bus. Them big companies behind people straight out of college and just paying them. Well, I take it back. They charging a lot of money for not paying them a lot. What's your take on that? Say a pass if you don't want to comment on something.
Nah, it's true.
So I see that a lot. And one thing I do as a senior guy, and I'm sure Struggle sees this a lot of guys, is I run over junior people. If you ain't ready for me, I just talk right over you. Then I'll be like, what are you doing? That don't make sense. And I put pressure on you. I have people sweating up in because it'd be a whole bunch of people in that room. So if I attack you a little bit, a lot of times you will back down.
That's one thing that's at times a little bit difficult, especially with larger organizations or public organizations. It's like you're so task oriented, you're so goal oriented with projects that a lot of times it's not a lot of time to mentor or teach people who are more junior in their roles. So it's like either you know how to do it or you don't. So you kind of have to come in not necessarily knowing everything, but you have to come in with some level of you got to pick up stuff fast. You got to be quick to the draw rather than kind of like how you do this, how you do that. Like
I don't say that.
Don't have time to do that.
My boss, man, he crazy, man. I'm interviewing big white dude. I thought he was racist, but we became super friends. This junior guy was talking to him. He brutal. He said, if I had to tell you the same thing twice, and I didn't see you take a note, we gonna have a problem. I was like, I was like, because he's like,
it's difficult.
That's the thing I ain't got time to train you. Like you said, I ain't got time to, man. I gotta do my own shit.
You have to very much so, and that's like one of those integral cybersecurity skills. Like you have to be a self-starter, a self-learn. Like you have to learn. You have to know how to learn something. You have to know how to know what you don't know and be able to seek out the resources to kind of fill in those gaps. Because in many cases, we are dealing with very sensitive, very time-sensitive type of situations where you got to have this submitted. You have to do this. You have to deal with this incident.
I used to work for a large, real quick. I used to work for a large state agency. Boozala come in for the IRS. They do four big agencies in 2.5 days.
Yeah.
They coming in. We need to see your policy procedures. We're gonna do this Nexus scan, and they work like 12 hours a day. Man, they be up. They come in and they hit us up with a couple questions. So you got to come in. But two, I hopefully, and I think you're doing and I'm doing is we trying to give people some heads up with these are the things you need to learn. Right. From a blue team, I'm get a little barbecue fun where if you join this level, they got those memberships. I'm gonna start taking you through. This is how you do an assessment, right?
Yeah.
This is how you look at a threat model. This is how you look at insider threat is a new thing in incident response. In this, you got to list out your insider threats and how you blocking them. That's kind of a new facility. I was helping the guy do that work. So I'm going to start doing a lot of that stuff and showing people how to go through it. Like you said, because if you keep asking a lot of questions, you're gonna get your ass fired. What's your thoughts on that?
That's true because organizations need skilled cybersecurity resources. They need
Right.
people to be able to deal with their problems, and you need some level of familiarity with the systems and the environments in order to really help them. You know, I think larger organizations should offer those type of like mentoring and teaching opportunities, but at the same time, companies are paying a lot of these large consulting firms in order to deal with their problems. So a lot of times
Facts.
you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance all the time. So
Right.
yeah,
So I think, and that's one reason, we talk about big company. Look, but I always tell, go to a big company because you
yeah,
get to see big problems. A lot of times, if you're a junior, that's why you get to talk to senior people, middle people. They're
yep,
supposed to help the junior people, and you learn. And I'm sure y'all like that. Those big companies, what's up, Max? They got their own methodologies. They usually give you internal training, and they usually say,
yep,
"This is how we do an assessment. This is how we do red team, and this is how we do. This is our standard tool set. This is our standard report. Right? This is how it's going to go." Right. So I think you get a lot of that when you go to a big company, and I think a lot of
you
people miss
do,
out on it.
and that's some of the work that I do internally. So we have like internal like documents.
Keep going. Oh, you breaking up a little bit. Struggle. Keep going though.
Our
You
internal
breaking
research
up.
for like, oh, how about now?
You clear. You clear. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, like I build up some of our like I create and I build up some of the methodologies to do certain services. Like you were mentioning, like a security assessment or like a tabletop exercise or pen tests and prerequisites and all that type of stuff. So I'm like building a lot of that up for our
Mhm.
practice so that I'm more duplicatable. Like I can repeat myself
Facts.
within document format. So that's what I do a lot of times if I'm
Yeah.
not delivering, but it can be difficult to get in there.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
two thing is, and it's old school CMM. CMM level 1 is you Superman and you got manually doing everything. 3 is you got documentation, you got processes and procedures, so you can duplicate yourself, right? So people should
Yeah.
come to you unless they're stuck or they're having a problem. Once you get to that level, right, and you duplicate and you just run the process, run the procedures, and hopefully, with ChatGPT and some other stuff, you get that SOAR, you get that security automation, right, report.
Yeah, it's still difficult, but yeah, I agree.
I agree. It sounds cool when I said it, but I don't see it a lot. So, but that's what
Nah,
we
ain't
try to get
nobody
to.
on them. A
We
lot of
gonna
manual processes still there.
facts. We gonna
Mhm.
my man keep it tech in the house. We're gonna let him chime in on it. What's
Hey,
going
hey,
on?
what's
What's
up,
going
man?
on?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all
What's
doing?
up? Chilling, chilling,
Doing
chilling.
all right,
For
man.
sure, for sure.
You want to
Yeah.
chime in? We talk about the penetration guy getting the subpoena to show up in the airport and you get hemmed up.
Yeah, it's just making me think about what just happened like on my server or whatever.
No, I saw you said
My
that.
web server, yeah. Like, okay, so if they like set up some
Mhm.
phishing campaign or whatever on my server, and it's that, and I was reading your article and it says IP address or
Mhm.
system fingerprint got caught up in assets pertaining to the criminal activity, I could potentially be summoned, you know what I'm saying,
No facts.
for something like that. So that's crazy.
Oh yeah,
That's all I was gonna add, but y'all go ahead.
and
Mhm.
shout out to Gabe said a lot of time is do you want to do that on your own? He's got a backing of a company. This dude seemed like a solo researcher. So now all
Yeah,
that's gonna be on your dime. You got to get your legal. I work for big organizations. We got 2 floors of lawyers, right? So
yeah,
right. And when I work for small companies, they usually have outside at least attorneys. So if you get caught up, you got some backing. A lot of times when you solo, you got to dig in your own pocket for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Let me read a couple more of these paragraphs from my man. It was worth noting that Curry is an established web app and security researchers, like Gabe said, had previously discovered responsible for reported flaws in APIs for Toyotas, Mercedes, and BMW. So he sounds like he on that autonomous stuff. The researcher early identified security vulnerabilities in airline reward programs, allow snatching unlimited air miles. Craze also disclosed Uber internal system breach that involved the theft of the company's vulnerability reports. It's odd to me that they didn't see I work in security engineering who responds to things regularly. They don't care at Curry, man. They just saw you into some logs, so
No, yeah.
you had to
Just
show
saw you
up,
in the
player.
log. Yeah,
Go ahead, Gabe. You can keep.
No, I'm saying they saw his private IP address. They saw him in the log, probably through some security tool. And yeah, but he probably going solo. So the thing about it is that going solo, you're definitely making a whole lot more money than even a lot of senior level people. So
I think he
I
think he's making $1 million. Keep going. I would
probably.
Because because you finding stuff in Uber internal breaches. He talking about big companies, Air Miles from American Airlines. Those are Fortune 500 companies, man. So if you find the stuff for them, they're gonna make sure you're good because they want you to make sure you tell them and not the bad guys. So I would think he would be making big money.
That's the thing that they do. They break you off money, but they don't have to hire you as a internal resource. So it's like a mercenary. It's a cybersecurity mercenary person, where mercenaries always get paid more than full time.
Yeah, the weird thing is, I worked at the state, and since I was consultant, and keep it techie with that federal money, they got different money for consultants compared to internal which is weird. So I made more than the CISO of the organization. Then when they hired me, they were trying to hire me. They couldn't pay me at the level I wanted to be paid at. Right, when my contract ended after 9 years. Right, so and he said, "This is what we can offer you. We know you can get more." I'm like, PBL's fat, man. I got to go to that private money. I'm gonna chime in on that, Gabe. What's your thoughts on that? Different money researchers, what you can pay.
That's how it is. That's definitely how it is. It's different pay, but at the same time, they don't have to pay you long term, right?
Facts. You there? You keep breaking up a little bit, Gabe.
Yeah, it seemed like you froze up, Gabe.
Oh shit!
There you go.
Can you all hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Keep going.
I got a ping going. I got an ICM.
Okay, that's cool. You working?
No, it's all good. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on it. I don't have anything else.
You want some of that keep it techie?
Yeah, I was just gonna add. I mean, y'all own it. I mean, they ain't gotta pay, that long term, amount of money as far as like benefits and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? For that resource on site, and probably can't afford them. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's the weird thing though. But the crazy thing is, I was on short term at DOD. I was there 11 years. Keep taking when they like you, man. They find money.
Oh yeah.
They offered me a Fed spot, but it was just a 13. Then I was at the state of Indiana for 9 years. Then they finally came, well, we got a budget cut, and I think I was the third highest paid consultant. So, but I mean, I got a 9 and 11 year run, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's unheard of. Not enough year run as a contractor.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
I guess all about relationships. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like Tim was saying.
Yeah, I was
what
there.
Tim was saying last time we was here.
Yeah, facts. So yeah, and it was just weird. They liked me, and I just kind of just stayed. And then once again, both of them offered me jobs, but I was like, I'm gonna go back in the. But then sometimes I think maybe I should take I could have had a 10-year. You get that partial retirement at 10 years.
Okay.
I was like, man, I could have had a little pension. But I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's one of the differences as well. Yeah, you can get a pension at the end of it with that when you work directly for them as a contractor. I mean, civilian.
Yeah, but that shit would have been like a 25K hit. I was like, nah, I'm good. So
yeah,
every now I think about, man, I'm 55. If I go back now, I could get 10 and 65. So I think you got to think of when you let me keep going. We're almost done. However, the recent occurrence with malicious hackers later claiming that they were conducting ethical hacking and university researchers circumventing what constitute ethical have made it all a legal gray area for everyone involved, including the prosecutors. So I think, once again, people are always going to abuse the system. In any case, carry motivation to share stories to spread awareness for defenders and ethical hackers. Merely having the title of security researchers won't exempt you from the security of law enforcement agency should your IP address or system fingerprint get caught up in an asset pertaining to criminal activity. I'm sharing this because I think it's something people should be aware of. If they're doing similar work, it was widely shared that the private key was leaked, and my background as a security researcher wasn't enough to dissuade using immigration and a grand jury to intimidate me. Oh, wow. He sounded like he was getting intimidating. Bleeping Research contacted DHS, CMB, and IRS with questions well in advance of publishing, but have not heard back. You won't hear back. So what's your thoughts on people abusing the system, like people that are actually hackers saying they're ethical researchers so they can steal information, and university researchers going too far, I guess was their take on that.
I mean, it all goes back to permission, right?
Oh, facts.
Do you have access or do you have permission by that organization to do what you're doing? Do you have it formalized in a written documentation? Do you have rules of engagement for what systems you're able to touch and not touch? Do you have some level of proof? A lot of times, what we always have is what you call a POC, a point of contact within that
Facts.
organization, who can always have some level of de-escalation in the event that something like this happens. They got numbers. They have numbers to legal teams. They have numbers to the CISO, the CEO in the event that something goes down. Because when you're doing penetration testing in red,
You must be pinging again, Gabe. You pinging a little bit. You breaking up a little bit. Go ahead and chime in on that. Keep it techie while Gabe ping slows down a little bit. You want some of that? While Gabe ping slow down.
Nah, he was on there. I wanted him to finish because I mean
He was. I
know
don't
more
think
about it. He actually does that. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
And
facts.
can y'all hear me now?
I can
There you
hear you
go.
now. You back. Go ahead.
I'm about to switch over internet connection. I'll be right back.
All right. Chime in on that. Keep it techie while you come back. You want some of that?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you right. I mean, he was 100% right. You know what I'm saying? You got to have permission. Now, the one thing I would ask him, and that's what I was gonna ask him after you finish. I was like, well, I know some of these, pen testing, I don't know, what do you call it, where they put out a program, a pen testing program for
Bounty.
open it
Bug
up. Yeah,
bounty.
out to
Bug
people.
bounty.
Yeah, I mean, do you necessarily have, written permission, or they just want people to test? Or do you have to sign up for the program in order to start testing out their system?
That's a Gabe question. I think you got to sign up, but I'm guessing. I ain't never officially won. I'm pretty sure,
Okay.
but I'm gonna Gabe. I think you got to sign up.
Okay, and that's what would be confusing to me. I mean, yeah, if they hired your company on as a consultant to come in and do that, yeah, you're gonna have all the paperwork, you're gonna have all that. But based on what I know about bug bounties and the programs and stuff, they just open it up to the world to come in and test their software. And so that was a question for you, Gabe. I don't know if you heard what I was talking about. I just know that some of those bug bounty programs, they just open it up to anybody. How do you get paperwork in that case? Or do you have to sign up for it, or say, hey, I want to test this out? Or
So with the bug bounty programs, yeah, you have to sign up for an account. They do background checks for some of them that are a little bit more serious. But it sounds like for this one, he has his own cybersecurity company. So it sounds like he was doing this like on the side, like his main work or something. So he has his own company where he's doing this. I was gonna say that if you're doing this, I was also gonna say this. There's time. So when you're scoping this type of work, when you're looking at the rules of engagements and the scope of work, what you're able to touch, there's at times organizations that have not only that company with their SIM or whatever security monitoring that they have, but they also might have government entities that monitor their organization. So I was doing a red team. I was leading out in a red team of probably 15 people. We had we were doing a red team on a large utility organization in California. And they don't only monitor their own, I guess, perimeter, like their cloud instances, their firewalls and everything, but also they have CISA. And I think they also have DHS that monitors their perimeter. So they have sensors. So if you're doing a red team or a pen test for those organizations, you have to have a de-escalation point with that point of contact for the organization in order to make sure that those government entities or whatever else is monitoring the perimeter, they also know of the activity that you're doing, because you might end up in this type of situation. Now, I think that he might, it sounded like a government entity was already monitoring, right? It seems like he was in this type of situation. So
Thanks.
Checking and double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking. Like there was so much, there were so many meetings before we even started any testing that occurred that I just maybe that prudence and maybe that diligence wasn't done in this case. But
No, yeah, like it sounded like he was a small company sole proprietor. So like we talked about,
yeah,
maybe they had the methodologies and procedures. Because you're right, when I worked for the big state, when we did our pen test, a lot of times we said you can only test between these hours and
yep,
this time, and only these 4 subnets, and
yep,
this particular zone inside is off limits because we know we suck over there. So
mm-hmm.
like you said, those testings, and still too, they test it. They accidentally took down one of our servers, right? I think
There
it
it
was
is.
more of our fault, but we instantly knew what it was, right, when they were doing it. So
They know what's going on, right?
right,
Everybody
right,
that's dealing with security for that organization is fully informed of that activity. This isn't like no solo
right,
Batman, Robin, vigilante
right.
testing. So it's a
I,
lot
I
of formalization involved in this process.
I got stuff for you and keep it techie, and this is just me probably going overboard. And I always tell people my beef with ethical hacking is you can scan me, it's fine, but like if we don't have an age agreement, once you get on one of my box as a white hat ethical hacker, I don't give a shit. We fold, man. We going at it. You done breached my perimeter now. Now we gotta go, because a lot of times people say if you're an ethical hacker, oh, they can get on the network, and I'm great. Read it. They were calling it something, and inside legal, good hacking or good benefits for the good faith. I'm like, F that, man. Once you step on my box, we got a problem. What's your thought on that, Gabe?
Nah, you unless you have permission, it's illegal. They can't get into there unless it is gives permission. So if they get on there and they're not supposed to, they go from a white hat to a criminal automatically.
Now that's my thought. But we'll talk about people got different views on that. Like they're some good Samaritan in there. They're it's okay as long as they don't steal. Like,
yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Keep it techy.
No,
Like
Well, no, I was
nah,
gonna throw this out there that
all wrong.
I mean, a lot of times when these guys go in, they mess with configuration files or things get messed up for them trying to actually get into whatever they're trying to get into. They
Yep.
could break certain things, and yeah, it's a vulnerability, but it may do something else in the system that messes it up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So yeah.
Because
it's true.
Yeah, the two is I work for large organizations. Sometimes they have old technical debt. So some of that stuff we can't fix because we're gonna break something else. We trying to we gotta upgrade like 4 apps before we can get to a lot of times too.
Yeah. And that's why another thing that you do as your like rules of engagement, what you need to do is that you need to make very clear set goals, and you need to have the customer agree what those goals are of the red team. When you deviate from that, like oh my gosh, I had to counsel somebody, man. So we were doing the red team, right? So they got onto somebody's machine. They got onto their box, right? Like you mentioned, the PBO. Yeah, Tangeray, he like a troll from like the old O'Shea era. And he been trolling me for forever. But
is it? You want me to block him? What you cool?
That's up to you. I don't care. It don't bother me. But,
okay, if you cool with it, I mean, like I didn't know if he was playing. I'm just,
I think he playing. I think he playing.
I think he playing too. That's why I didn't, let me know. But keep going. Were you done?
From the O'Shea days. But yeah, we make it very clear what our goals are. So like I mentioned, like I had to counsel somebody. I'm like, so they got on somebody's box, but then they start going through their whole entire I think I told you about that, didn't I?
You did.
Like they was going
That's
through
crazy.
their files and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? That's not the goal here. We found that we were able to get access to this box. Let's use this to elevate privilege or move laterally, but we're not going through people's personal information. If you see personal information there, note it, but don't man, this person knew they Myers-Briggs assessment. Like they knew, I'm like, what is the purpose of that? You wasting time, you wasting cycles. So kind of to your point, you need to make very clear set goals for the way that the red team needs to go. And you stick close to them, not only from the customer side, but also from the team that's actually doing the testing. So, because people get so excited and so giddy. I'm like, yo, shit, like we're here to do a job. We're not here to have this is it can be fun, but fun is not the priority here. So
And I think too, especially young people, they don't know the legal ramifications, man. You can see somebody's not saying if you had HIV or something, you breaking out kind of HIPAA laws, man. You gotta be careful when you and a lot of people save stuff on a machine, even if they're company machine, they shouldn't be saving. So you can get hemmed up, man. A lot of people don't realize that.
All it is a finding. It's saying, hey, we found this type of information because they was finding birth certificates and we found personal company or personal what is it? PHI, not health information, but personal information that shouldn't be there. Yeah, PII, personal identifiable information. Boom. We found that and we saw it on multiple customer or multiple machines. And we think that you all should, implement, I don't know, a module within your security awareness training that includes keeping personal information off of your company machines. Boom, right? Now, if they want to know who, we log those, we give them to the appropriate party. We don't broadcast it. It's just so many things, man. I can go all day, man. I go all day on how.
And two is, and I think, I'm sure you're gonna get to your membership. Like in my membership is that's part of professionalism as a cybersecurity person, as a young person. I think a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're in this business, man. You're gonna see a lot of stuff, especially and keep taking DBA. Man, I used to watch people gamble at work. I'm looking at this guy, but he was the top salesman, so they was like, "I'll go talk to him." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, if that was somebody else's ass to be fired," but they're like, "Go talk to him," right? So you get to see people stuff. Now, people know better, but remember, I started out in 1988, so I've been looking at back office shit since 95. So people were gambling, they were looking at porn at work. I'm like, dude, y'all gotta settle down out here, man. Y'all gonna get fired. But like you said, that professionalism from you and them as an employee, y'all gotta put those skills, because two is you could do your job like you said. If that's a top salesman, he gonna be okay and you gonna be fired because you overstepped, right? So you gotta learn those boundaries. Go ahead, keep it techie. You want some of that?
Nah, I'm gonna have to call it a night though, PBO. I got a headache I can't get rid of. So
that's cool, man. I hope you feel better, man.
I feel better, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Hey, appreciate you letting me up though.
Always, man.
Yeah. All right, I catch y'all.
All right, man. Monday's here. Get better, man. Monday's here, man. We're gonna start exploits to call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was reading this on there. Running certain exploits could cause issues when doing pen testing. Oh yeah. That's At my job, if you log personal accounts on the public computers that open them up to the public search, facts, man. People don't know, but I do work for them people. Facts. That's all, Have y'all seen anyone watching adult films? It was around 2005. Not lately, guys. Where everybody kind of get the memo. I think people are signing those. HR, they give you training now, so I think everybody knows that.
I've seen it.
Go ahead.
I've seen it in like a incident response, more like what you call like a compromise assessment. So it's like the customer found that they were hacked, and then they're like, "Okay, help us clean everything up." When we're going to clean things up, we find in like like Trojans and all types of. I think it was malware that set up. It was like a porn server within the network, and we saw it trying to beacon out like all types of things. Like I was finding all types of strings, like hot MILF and hot like all types of crazy little things. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a orange server. Okay. So yeah, man, I've seen it.
Yeah, but you would think people, and now I think people are smarter now. And two is, it's easy to set up servers in other places where in 2000 you gotta have your own server now. So you can click a button, you can spit up your own stuff, and now whatever fetish you got, there's a server out there for you. So it makes it a lot different in 2023.
Yep.
Let me look. This is one of the documents I use. I'm in this guy. This document's kind of old, but it's still relevant. 861 incident response handling. When was this published? I think this is pretty old. The date ain't in there. Oh yeah, 2012. They need to upgrade. But let's look up agreements. So sensitive information revealed to a contractor. So this your NDA. Non-disclosure agreements are one possible option for protecting the disclosure of sensitive information. You and them as a contractor. So the big one is, then this is what Gabe brought up, legal departments. Legal experts should review incident response plans, policies, and procedures to ensure the compliance with the law and federal guidelines, including the right to privacy. In addition, the guidance of the general counsel or legal department should be sought if there's a reason to believe that the lawsuit, or if there may need for a memorandum of understanding or other binding agreement, involve liability limitations for information sharing. Chime, because you brought that up. Bring that. You want to chime in on that one?
Exactly. I'm sorry.
No, like you said,
ramifications.
the legal document, like you said, you want to get legal involved. They talk about having a MOU, memorandum of understanding, and other documents to make sure you cover when you're doing a pen test or security research. So I don't know if you want to chime in on that.
All the time, like I know, like everything, information. So they want to make sure you know, like, even I'm not saying
you breaking up a little bit. You
you
breaking up a little bit, Gabe.
How now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it sounds better. It sounds better. I can hear you now. Keep going.
Dang, what's up with this internet? Am I hacked? What's going on?
You breaking up. I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, dang, like NDAs, because you're dealing with a lot of personal security information, personal company information, where you definitely need to keep it internal and not really be, get everything out there. So yeah, definitely that.
And real quick on that doc, like he said, because no, you sound clear now. Consult with your legal department for initiating any coordination efforts. There may be contracts or other agreements that need to be put into place before discussion occurs. And now I appreciate you, Tangeray. I seen him on Black Heights.
Yeah,
I met him on Black Heights, so that's where I usually see him at. But like I said, on that particular document is and now when you do this, you got on-prem and in the cloud. So your security team's got to work with AWS. So it's your security team to get with the client, right? So you got to have coordination and documents with all those organizations. AWS is only going to give you so much information. You might actually have to go get a warrant to get additional information. So this document tells you how do you communicate and what's that coordination and integration point of view. I do a lot of incident response exercise. Gabe actually does it in real life, but I work with a lot of government entities because we want to walk through and have an understanding of how this is going to work before it really happens in real life. So what documentation do we have? Who do we need to communicate? Who at AWS is our point person? Who at the client's our point person? Who's in charge of what, right? So you need to run through those scenarios as an incident response, at least tabletop, for the communication and how that's going to work.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Did you want anything else on that one?
Nope. I think you said it all.
I appreciate it. So let's say this is the legal website a little bit. Let's just kind of go through some of the legal terms, not too much. The crazy thing is I've never thought I would talk to as many lawyers at this stage in my career. Right? So
I wonder what tech lawyers are. They're probably cleaning up, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I work with a few. I used to work with a few, and because too is tech lawyers are so where you a lawyer and HIPAA compliance and like I said, I did IRS, so we had IRS attorneys when I worked at the state, so they would come on, so they would tell you, like you said, the legal part, the state statutes. Then from a federal perspective, what did that look like? So my role was to go through the cybersecurity part, then get with their legal, and then just kind of get them together. But like you said, that's a super niche, especially now with the GDPR and CCPA and a lot of data privacy. Now those lawyers are becoming much more prevalent than what I've seen. Especially, I didn't see any lawyers in the 80s, but now, like you said, every time I'm in a meeting, there's a lawyer, and I'm like, that's cool because I'll be referencing them. Use your talent. Don't think of it as insult. Because if something happened, I'm gonna be like, I talked to legal. What's your thoughts on that?
No, legal.
I'm good.
Legal is just as much of a part of a cybersecurity professional services or services team as the technical folk. Like legal is extremely important because you're crossing company boundaries in many ways. You're interacting with their sensitive data and sensitive information. So there's definitely legal ramifications there that definitely needs to be considered. So, but
Yeah.
we're not trained as legal professionals, so we
No.
we need to lean on those individuals in order to really get a to make sure that we're safe. It's almost like
Yeah.
insurance.
Oh, facts. And like you
Yeah,
said,
man.
it's just so, and now with all the, once again, the HIPAA, GDPR, CCPA, they're throwing a lot of privacy legal terms in there that you have to have, from contracting, and even when you're doing pen testing and security
Yep,
research, because you're looking at people personal information. If for
all
some
the
reason
time.
that get out, what's your reporting requirements? If you lose 1,000 records inside Cali, you got to report it to the state general attorney. If you don't, you get a big fine. So,
Yep, yep.
question to you, Gabe: is it possible to get a pen test role while not fully well rounded, still learning, or a basic cybersecurity role? So basically, are they junior roles my man Ty can get as he gets his certs up, get his game up to get inside that pen test red team offensive life? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you gotta keep applying, man. I know like I've had a lot of conversations with Ty about this, and just got to keep
I
on
had a
applying the
few.
role after role after role. Also, do some networking with individuals who are doing it. I know that we've talked. We don't, but I don't currently have any opportunities within my organization for pen testing. Kind of few and far between. But you go to some of those other niche and boutique organizations like Optiv. I know they do a lot. I know
Oh, fine.
some other
I
people
just
have.
sent.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, Octave is the big dog. Go ahead. No, Octave is hot.
Yeah, like Optiv. They they do a lot of pen tests. Like you got to be resourceful. You have to go out. You got to look for a lot of those organizations that do the pen testing that you're looking for, and then jump into it. Even TCM security, right? With Cyber Mentor, he has open roles as well. Yeah, and like AO mentioned, managed service
Okay.
providers too. And maybe pen testing might not be
Yeah,
the
fuck.
first step. Maybe you go into a more of a blue team role, and then you transition into pen testing. I say just get a role, man. You got to get a role rather than trying to
Yeah,
find the perfect role.
yeah. Because once you get in, it's always easy to go lateral, make that lateral
Yes.
move, like you're attacking inside an organization. Because I went to programming, web admin, DBA, then I got into cybersecurity. So, but once you
Yeah.
in there, right, it's a lot. It's a lot easier to move, and that's one thing too. Is when you're in a big company, it's a lot. It's a lot more places for you to move.
Yeah. 100% within organizations, but I mean, you don't pen testing is not always the first step for actually it's not the first step for most people. So they'll
Oh,
jump into
fine.
something like vulnerability management or IAM, like identity access management, and then they might
Yeah.
make a pivot into pen testing or do that as a part of one of their jobs. So, I mean, you got to be a little bit more resourceful, network, and just look to get a job in cybersecurity, and then transition from there.
And like we talked about, pen test is kind of specialized. A lot of
It
medium
is,
to
yeah.
small company does. They don't even have that role. Like I said, when we do our pen testing,
Nope.
we hire a big company to come in and do it,
I
or
mean,
we
my
hire.
introduction.
So
No, I was gonna say, like, my introduction to it is I was working as a security architect for an organization that had recently been acquired by. So I was working for a company called iPerk. We were doing like microgrid installations, but securely at government facilities. So I was actually working in a government type of role, and then our company had got acquired by a large company in Chicago called SNC Electric, and they make a whole lot of like industrial or electrical utility type of products. They wanted somebody to be able to come in there and test the products before they went out, right? So they say, I'm like, what type of testing? Like security testing. So that was my first introduction to pen testing. I didn't have a formal role. So, I mean, yeah, you got to look at where you at and then make the best of
yeah.
those type of opportunities and go
My
from there.
thing is, I was part of the web admin, so my
Yeah,
first foray into testing was I had to harden. So they were like, these are the
yeah.
security checks. Put them on a web server. I was like, okay.
There we
Then, like
go.
you said, you get better at it. But yeah, cyber scientists. I put those in our playbook. So when we do a tabletop exercise, out of the tabletop, we try to create playbooks. So one of the things a lot of people don't realize a lot of times is if you accidentally send PI data to somebody, we have our legal team created an attestation saying that you deleted the data, right? So if for some reason if you didn't delete it, since you signed our attestation, that means we can sue your ass, right? So most people, I told that to a couple smaller. It's like, oh, we never heard of that. I know because I work for a big company. We had a big legal team, so we had that. So when I go to little companies, I'm like, gotta get your attestation because, and part of that is if you're a big company, you're dealing with a lot of PI and stuff. Somebody's going to make a mistake and email it to somewhere it shouldn't have had, or somebody's going to see it. So you need to have that playbook, which is simple. You said you deleted it. You need to delete out the trash, and I need you to sign this document, right?
Man,
so we're covered when the auditors come. So if something happened, if they somehow shows it up, we're like, hey, we got the ID, so we need to sue them, right? So, but those are just kind of basic things that if you've been in this game a lot, like Gabe said, that's part of working with your legal team to make sure you got all that taken care of.
Yep.
You want anything in that one?
Nope. That's it.
Let's see. Like you said, AO said looking at MSP. I didn't think about that, but that's good. Like Shy, that's a good question. Ty, my former company, Global Link Solution, might have a SOC roles open. That's cool. Shout out to the chat sharing good information. Pentesting is a big at Deloitte and government contract. Yeah, if governments, you got to do it for NIST says you got to do one every year. Now, a lot of companies, we try to do it internally, but we really don't have that expertise. And we want every 3 years, you got to do a big one. So we give them low creds and we put them inside the conference room to see if they can lateral move. So it's a story. It's probably 10 years old. So I'm going to tell it. I'm at big company, big government agency. They're in the conference room. They can't find nothing. We got everything encrypted. We looking good. The head DBA decides to go on a fishing trip. Emails the root in clear text.
Yeah, man.
So the last 4 hours, man, they breaking everything. They kind of gave us a break. They go, we know he was where this was the only thing we got. So we know it's something he really did. But man, if he wasn't that good, he would have got fired. But just something so careless, trying to run out on a Friday. They said they couldn't find anything. We had a lock. They couldn't do anything. Man, I was like, come on, man.
Yep.
But go ahead.
And that's another thing that I think
so careless can take you out. Go ahead.
It can. And typically the bad guys, they're looking for the easiest things that show carelessness within your organizations because hackers are lazy. They're looking for the easiest stuff. Yeah. So I know even going back to the professionalism thing, you're not looking to kind of, so like you mentioned, somebody could have got fired, right? So that's another dynamic that people don't talk about a lot of times. One thing that I make sure to do is anonymize the targets and the victims, right? Maybe by roles or responsibilities, but then I keep those into like an Excel spreadsheet or some type of list if the company wants, just in case they want to know exactly the accounts that were compromised, or exactly the ones that were hacked. We're not trying to because people will get fired. People will get fired over that type of stuff or get pipped or have to go through all, but that's not the thing, right? The thing is that the goal is not to, call out the people who have had the worst type of behaviors. It's for the whole organization to be able to increase from a security posture. But at the same time, we do want to have full disclosure. So if they do want that information, we can provide it. But that's not what we lead with. We're not leading with outing everybody who had did this or did that. So anyway. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, let me read this quick part. Yeah, but two is a lot of times is if I'm the CIO and you email somebody clear, we got Teams, we got special encryption we done paid for, we got Office 365, we got the FIPS 140-3 module. So what the hell you do, man? Doing it in clear. So you might get escorted out on that one. So you have to be careful, and you as a person should always favorite term, due care, right? That's a legal term. You're gonna do care and take security seriously, right? That's what he did was really negligent, right? On that level. Let me read this quick hacking. Hacking is broadly defined as an act of breaking into a computer. Hacking is not always a crime. However, in ethical hacking, for example, hackers legally permitted to exploit security networks. In other words, the hacker has the appropriate consent or authorization to do what they're doing. However, hackers crosses criminal line when a hacker accesses someone's computers without their consent or authority. Right. So that's one thing we talked about. For example, a hacker can be charged with a crime if they lack consent or any lawful authorization into any other's computer system. They have such authorization from a law enforcement agency or a court order. With such authorization, a hacker may legally penetrate a company's firewalls to access private servers and cloud. However, when a hacker lacks such authorization or consent, they can be charged for having engaged in criminal hacking. An example, when a hacker uses phishing or social engineering to install malware on computers with the intent to monitoring communication and activities. Chime in on that, Gabe.
Yep. No, it's just you
gotta.
gotta.
That's how you want to.
You have to. I was gonna say you gotta hack or you allowed to hack. You gotta hack where you're given permission to hack. Stop. Don't. People be so. I'm telling you, man. People would be so giddy to get into something and hack away. I'm like, this ain't. It's not the reason we here. It's not the reason they're paying big bucks for not only for us to perform a particular thing, but also to act professionally and be and almost with like care. Like it's like a babysitter, right? One thing that we're doing is that we're babysitting their data, their systems, their sensitive information, and we have to be very careful with the way that we handle it. So, I think that's a big thing that I always emphasize when dealing with with teams. It's like, that's the goal is not to jump in here and act like this is some type of cyber jungle gym. Like, that ain't what you hear.
But I think that's the kiddies getting excited sometimes, like you said.
Man, the thing is that it don't even be kids, man. It'd be like people who's senior, people who've been doing this for years. I'm like, what are you doing, man? But at the same time, so it's also very different coming from an organization like Mandiant, like
facts.
So it's very like I ain't gonna lie, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the level of professionalism and skill combined the way that it's been in Mandiant anywhere else.
Oh man, I mean, Mandiant's what, a top 5 company in that area, man. Easily, if not the top 1, right? So
not the top 1, definitely top. But I'm just saying,
they in there.
At the same time, it's like it's like, what are y'all up here doing?
Once I left DOD and I went to other organizations, I'm like, yeah. And the crazy thing is, when you in there, you're like, we all right. We did. You go to other places, you're like, oh my God, we was killing the game.
Yep. So that's exactly what it's like. That is the feeling, is that we was killing the game, and I'm like, dang, yeah.
Real quick, I'm finished. Yeah, the federal hacking law. So there's a couple things, and we're going to talk about the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, the Store Communication Act, Electronic Communication Privacy Act, and the Defend Trust Act. And so we're going to touch on that a little bit. What was I going to say? Let me read Savage Scientist. What do you think about HSM? My boss is a CI, wants me to look at the HSM. Yeah, I'm real big. AWS has a nice HSM. I said it's overkill, but worth the price. HSM is hardware security modules like that. It is an overkill, especially since most people, you can do MFA on your phone. But if I'm working with people like Keep It Techie, Gabe, and my DBAs with Root, I probably want to give them a hardware module so they can actually plug it into a USB or something like that. And two, if you look at high-level security Savage Scientists, especially in this, they tell you have to do hardware security modules. I was surprised when I actually looked at it. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. You said it all.
Keep It Techie said they chasing the Mr. Robot feeling.
Yo, I don't know, man. I get it. And that's the thing. I get it. It's fun. But at the same time, I'm like, they paying a lot of money for us to do this. We need to.
But two is your level gets to see it. I didn't get to see money till I was in the game for about 17 years before, because a lot of times you just work. You don't know what the client pays, and you're a part. I think now, shout out to y'all and Tim and the Black Heights, people talk about money more. When I was in there, you couldn't talk about money. So when you figured out, this one white dude whispered to me, he goes, dude, you only get 25% of your contract, man. You at least need to be getting half of that. So, listen. A lot of people don't know that and understand that. Go ahead and chime in on that.
And that's the thing. Like, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go higher, like in management, because I'm like, okay, I know that I'm doing these services, I'm executing on these things, but like I don't get a chance to craft the service. I don't get a chance to like modify the scope. It's just like, here, go and do it. This is the work.
Facts.
Now I'm able to see the budget. I'm able
Yeah.
to implement like resourcing. I'm able to deal with the money and how much things really cost. Like I know what my rate is, and I also know
Right.
what I make. So it's like
Right.
so it's like
Right.
a lot more. It's like having code execution on the server in comparison to just dealing with the GUI, right? So
Yeah, facts.
that's what
Facts.
it feels like.
And I was surprised when I started seeing them numbers. I was like, oh shit, that's what they charging. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yep.
I need a raise, man. Yeah,
Yep.
cheap PBO. So facts, man. So
And that's when that bonus come at the end of the year. I'm like, okay, I need that to reflect some of this work that I've been doing. I know what we've been getting paid for these services.
facts.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what this bonus gonna be like.
Yeah, fact. Then on the screen, there's some penalties. If you break some laws, you see offensive, obtaining national security rights, you in the government. They talking about up to 10 years for the first conviction. Computer fraud is 5. Accessing and obtaining information was 1. Intentionally damaging a known transmission is 10. Extortion is 5. So they're trying to. In the 80s, they used to slap white collar crime because they never thought about it. Now they're giving out big sentences for computer crime because everything's on a computer now, right? So
right.
Let's see.
And actually, on that note, I'm gonna drop down, man. I'm about to.
Okay. Thanks for joining me.
Sleepy. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been going for about an hour 16. Thanks for coming up.
I got a low shelf life for like for like panels these days. I'd be tired, man.
Man, I'll feel you. Man, I don't pedal as much as I used to, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like you said,
like
be
that.
wearing you out after a while, man. There's only some people, and you be on all the pedals. Some pedals I don't be on, man. You be on all the pedals.
You know me. I'm active.
Man, you be on the red pill panel, the blue pill, the tech panel, the black panel.
Matter. If
then
it's
you be
smoke,
going to war, man. Yeah, I don't want no smoke. I'm too old for the smoke.
If it's smoke, I emerge. You know,
I feel you, man. PBO be ejecting. I'm like, oh, Gabe, God, I don't want none of that smoke.
This was funny because I was talking to me and my wife. Like, we went out to eat with another couple, and we were talking about some of the post-COVID stuff that we've been doing. I'm like, one thing that's been very different is I interact so much more like digitally interactive with people in comparison to before. Of course, like I just kind of jump up there with a little smoke here and there. It ain't nothing crazy, but most of my interactions, they're positive interactions. Like we're talking about stuff like tech or life or marriage or kids or something. So it's just that's been a big change. That's been a big change that I said, because we were talking about shifts at the end of COVID, because we used to all go to church and everything all together and all that. Now we like, man, we all be online, but that's a whole nother subject. But we'll talk more.
For me, because I'm older, like I said, for me, that's my interaction, because I'm remote now. I don't go anywhere. So it's just easy to jump on. I get on there and just get my little interaction with the tech world, and I just go do my thing. So for me, it's like, and I don't even like people that much. So for me,
no, I feel you, man. It be something like I used to go to conferences and all that. I'm like, conferences are cool. And, a lot of people are going again. I'm just like, I stay home. I stay in the crib. I ain't trying to go nowhere.
Yeah, all the conferences I go to now, they be on Zoom. So I just be Zoom. I go get my little Eventbrite ticket and.
Man, I went to a conference in Baltimore not too long ago. It was like a NIST conference. I'm like, I'm in the back falling asleep. I'm like, let me go back to my hotel room. This ain't nothing I'm trying to be.
NIST be super boring. Man.
Oh my God, I didn't know. I had no idea how boring those conferences are.
Oh my God, I've been doing this for 20 years, man. You get paid because it's so boring, and it's just so much documentation, man.
That's all they was doing. They was going through documentation and the person who wrote it, and I'm like, all right.
Shout out to Gabe. That's what I'm gonna do for one of my memberships. We're gonna go through this document because it's so boring, but there's a lot of it, and the whole federal is just in this. So you can make money just doing policies and procedures and just understanding that whole process.
That's a good idea. Like going over certain, like I'm thinking, like even going through certain type of assessments, like how to scope a tabletop exercise. How do you do that?
I did a couple videos on that, but that's what I'm gonna do. That whole NIST process. talking about each security family and when you go out, how do you assess that? The weird thing is, I was on Simply Cyber with Dr. Gerald, and I asked him a question. He was confused. I go, now you gotta validate the hardware that you buying to make sure it hasn't been tampered with by China. Like, how the hell you do that shit?
Yeah, supply chain hacks, man. Supply chain hacks.
So
They've
that's a
grown
big miss.
significantly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you gotta do an assessment of that. So I kind of figured out how to do it. So I was gonna kind of walk through that. It was long story short is you don't do it. AWS do it because they buy the hardware. If you're doing or if you're using Dell or whatever, they're doing it. Dell and Intel is actually using blockchain to track their suppliers to figure out, make sure their components are not that they're authentic, right? So talk about
That's
that
important.
in this. Yeah, so but it took me a while to try to figure out, well, how the hell you do that? So
Yeah, no, like that's true. Because even like as things have been heating up with China, we've been going a lot away from Chinese manufacturing, or when things were happening with Russia, going away from I remember I told you with Kaspersky. Like they took out
facts.
Kaspersky from so many different environments, especially government facilities. So
And a lot of
it's like
people
that.
love Kaspersky too, so they were scrambling,
Man,
man. And they were
I love it too.
decent price too. They were
Yeah.
decent price compared to everybody else. So it's like, okay, we gotta pull them down. We gotta pull it out and put
Right.
something in there, man.
Man, they pulled out Kaspersky, replaced that mug with what, like McAfee or something. I was like, McAfee EP
Or
trash.
Defender. A lot of people do
Defender.
It's easier, but I don't think it's as good as Kaspersky but
Nah.
Microsoft make it easy. But they're not on that level, right? Shout out
Nope.
to your ex. FireEye's the best, but that shit was like crazy expensive, man.
Now they're Trellix. Now they're Trellix. I don't know if you heard of that because I think
I've heard of it. I've
McAfee
never-
and FireEye combined to create Trellix. Because Mandiant and FireEye separated.
Facts,
And
facts.
then so yeah, it's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on. But yeah, let me go ahead.
All right, man. I see you. Get some
All right,
sleep, man. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. All right, peace.
Peace. Let's see. I would like to 10 Black Hat. Yeah, facts. Let's see. Shout out to him. What do you do? I think Baltimore Strike Back. He cut out for me. Some boring, yeah. Oh, yeah, but this, like we talked about, and that's what I'm kind of maybe more of my membership into it. Low cost is doing that whole NIST process. The government's doing it. A lot of companies sell to the government, so they have to do NIST. So NIST is probably, I would say, one of the biggest frameworks out there, along with the CSF, which is a smaller version of that. Yeah, I do paperwork mostly now, man. I don't even touch computers. I do mostly paperwork. I could have taken you around the city. Shout out to GMR for joining. Check that, everybody. Glad you could join us. Real quick, let's look at this online, talking about the good faith. If you're a hacker, the policy force for the first time directs good faith security research should not be charged. So we talked about that. If you scan my network, not happy, but I'm cool with it. Once you scan and you get on my network, we're not good faith anymore. We have a problem, right? Good faith security research is being accessing a computer solely for the purpose of a good faith test and investigation or correction of a security file or vulnerability, with such activity carried out in a manner designed to avoid any harm to individuals or public, where the information derived from the activities used primarily to post security, safety, class of device, machine, or online service. So basically, they said if a hacker jumps on your machine or your network, they're good faith. They trying to help you. You can't charge them. To me, that's BS. And two, the reason that came about is you Google this. I might Google it. I don't know yet. The FBI found a bug. It was huge in the United States. The FBI fixed it. So they were jumping on people's network and patching people's network. To me, that's crazy. Because once again, I was working at a big big state agency. You could have patched that and broke something else, right? We didn't get a chance to text or whatever. So I think they wrote that because the FBI, I thought, overreached in that particular point in that particular issue, right? So we're gonna look at one more I thought was interesting, and this is kind of what we were talking about. Let me look that one up. There it is at the top. See, these guys thought they were helping, but we wanted to help. The students were arrested after exposing 3-hour security flaw. So once again, we got to find that balance of what that is. Like, again, I'm old and grumpy. So once you get on my network, you are a hacker. You are an intruder, right? I need to be trying to sue you. Let's see. Salute, how the heck do you find time to host all these lives? I appreciate that. I've been hosted as much, to be honest. I'm trying to get back in there. Yep. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on that Savage Scientist? I thought it was an overreach by the FBI. So we're going to read this quick one. Let's see. 4 computer science students are being investigated by the police after they found highlighted security weakness in Malta's largest security application, FreeHour. These are the 4 guys' names. We're scanning through the software of their app. They found a vulnerability they said could be exploited by malicious hackers. They emailed their findings to FreeHour's owners and asked for a reward or bug bounty for spotting a mistake. But instead of a payoff, the University of Iowa students were arrested, strip searched, and had their computers equipment seized. Right. So let's see. They scanned it. I don't think they actually went on the network. They said they found a vulnerability and they reported it. Right. And for me, I think I'm cool with that. If I got some ports open and you scan, and I've actually had that happen at a job I was on. Somebody scanned something. I appreciate you, GMR, for the barbecue fun. 5 per characters doing classic. I appreciate that. I think that was I think it was 2. The Patriot stuff. Fact, I forgot about the Patriot with that. But now, shout out to that. So let's read my man again. They got strip shot. All we ever wanted was to help. The students said a vulnerability they uncovered could have meant the potential leak of private data, which allows students email address and locations. Yeah, white hacker hit an organization where I was at. The CISO gave it to me. I got with the development team. We talked about it. We fixed it. We thought the dude was going to ask for money or ask for a job. He didn't ask for anything, right? So we were, so it didn't. We fixed it. It wasn't a big deal, but a lot of times you don't know what you people want. You don't know if they're gray hat, they're gonna sell it to the highest bidder. Being the good guy, bad guys, you never know what's gonna happen. Normally the server will see a request for private data. Check who's requesting. In this case, it was the student. Did not access as the users do not have the required authority. However, they said every piece of data requested was authorized by the server and given. In a simple term, every user was an admin without knowing it. The student said that they also realized the FreeHour server used parts of backend structure for applications that had been left in its default state rather than having the security change. That's one of the big deals now, too, is you got to make sure when you install something, you get it default and you get it locked down. So, 2, you should be having vulnerability scans and compliance scans to make sure your config files are hopefully in at least a secure state. Parts on user warrants app that a failure to properly adapt could make it vulnerable to the malicious software. Following the discovery, the group decided to send an email to FreeHour on October 18 last year, informing them of vulnerability, urging them to fix it. They also gave them a 3-month deadline to secure the vulnerability before they disclosed it. In the email, they also mentioned they may be able to claim a bug bounty for their efforts. The bug bounties are prizes the company offers to notify them with mistakes in software. That's a big deal. Bug bounties, depending on the level of bug, and that seems to be a big bug. The big companies like Microsoft, Google pays somebody like a crazy amount of money. I think it was like $373,000 for one bug, right? So other companies do pay that. Once again, I think these young guys overreached and they got locked up. 4 years in prison. The students were being investigated under Article 337 of the Criminal Code, which makes it illegal to access the application without being, like we talked about, duly authorized by a entitled person. The crime carries a punishment. They look like they're in a foreign country with that money. A maximum fine. FreeHour's CEO said that once he received the email from the 4 students in October, he contacted the Office of Information and Data Protection and Cybersecurity Unit. We're pleased to report no user data was compromised and the vulnerability was addressed within 24 hours. So once again, that's some young guys. Shout out to them. Hopefully They didn't lock them up. They did get strip searched though. So once again, like Gabe said, you need to make sure you have your proper documentation, your proper entitlement. You do have authorization to scan that particular network and look at that particular app, right, and make that happen. Let's see what my man Savage Sign Bug Bounty involves some level of coding. Yeah, I think so. Because a lot of times you gotta at least script it to get in there. I've been more of a security ops vulnerability type, but picked up Pentester Plus last year and hope to go for OC. Yeah, OC. I worked with a guy that had I think the second level. He had 48 hours to. I think had 6 boxes, 6 VMs. I think I'm having him on my channel. He actually runs Red Team inside of a very large insurance company. So I might get him on my channel. He's a cool guy. This will be the next test on my agenda. I would probably be the last cert I would go after. Yeah, I'm working on that CISP. Savage, I'm struggling. I need to get more entitled. So I think that's all I had really for tonight. I don't want to keep dragging it on. But basically, Red Team, make sure you got your documentation. Make sure you got your skills set up. I'm just talking about some things you want to make sure you cover. If you solo doing that, or even if you work for a large company, you want to make sure they have you covered so you won't be like these guys. You won't be getting strip searched when you're just trying to do some bug bounty, right? Could be hard out here sometimes. Once again, let me know if you got any other questions. I'm going to hang out for a little while. Once again, I appreciate everybody for joining. Once again, shout out Mondays here. Let's go get it. Let's see what Akin said. They won't lock these cats up, but the local national government will make them an offer. They cannot refuse facts. I can't imagine being strip searched. Them crazy men more excited to learn stuff. Oh, facts, man. There's just so much out here to learn, man. Red team, blue team, purple team. Man, when you want to do an online study group for let me think about that. I like that service. I seen a couple of videos. I was working on my Bella Padula and my Biba, my confidential and my integrity. Making sure I got that down. But yeah, it's so much to learn. Once again, I've been working on my cloud skills, working on my AWS. Actually, I haven't done it for a couple months, 2 or 3 months, because I've been studying for my CISP, taking practice tests, trying to figure out where I'm at. But once again, it's a long road, long game. So don't get too down on yourself. Just keep grinding. You know, that once again, it's just so much. But like Todd said too, trying to find a job and a remote job sometimes is just hard. And sometimes the gatekeepers be not trying. They do be blocking you. So you just got to keep grinding and making it happen. I don't know what's going on with my allergies. So yeah, so I'm like, Gabe, it's 11:30 my time. So I got to get up. And one of my bosses like to stand up at 8:30. So let's see. Yep, you do. I don't know. I don't think I have the Sunfire document. Let me see. I don't know yet, Jim R. I just been kind of I'm thinking Tuesday at 10 p.m. That's kind of my Tuesday time, but I don't know yet, Jim. I'm just doing it as I become available. Okay, I have to check it. I use CC Cure as one. I appreciate that. I need to work on that. So that's the one I've been using. I have to write that down. So yeah, so I've been using CC Cure. A lot of people recommended that. So that's the one I've been using. So they got online practice tests you can take, and it's supposed to be similar to it. So I appreciate that. Cheers. Thanks, Ab Scientist. I gotta figure that out. Why can't I click on that? All right, everybody have a good weekend, and everybody have a good Monday. Let's go get it. You see it, let's get it. I'm out. Everybody have a great end to the weekend. Let's have a great start of the week. I'm out. Everybody have a good night, and once again, a good start to the week. Let's see. That's why I might have to look at that. I got I bought the big book. Conrad, I think I got that one. Savage, I'll look at that. I'm out. Everybody have a good night. I appreciate those resources. I see what's going on with that, Savage.